don't mind tonight. Play per ego.
Depends. Will your friend, the footballer, be there?
Oh, friend! Football friend!
Oh, what a superb goal! Stefan that is extraordinary from Ben Garuccio.
You're listening to Football Friends with Ben, Stef and Stef. That's right, we've got the man of the moment in WA, Stefan Colakovski, joining us to chat about his current run of form for the Glory and rekindling his flame under Alan Stajic. Along with, of course, our A-League Men's Round 14 review as the boys weigh in on Paddy Wood's red. Plus, as the transfer window begins to draw to a close, we dissect the latest from around the grounds and who's next hopping on the plane to fly the Aussie flag in Europe. All that and more coming up on Football Friends.
Hello guys, and welcome back to another episode of Football Friends with Ben and Stef. Another week on the pod, plenty to talk about as always, and a big guest coming on today as well to join us, Stef.
Yeah, there's going to be two Stefs on here today, so it'll be great to hear from him. And obviously Perth's kind of come back in the last few weeks after losing games, no owners, losing players. So it'll be great to hear from him about how that's all been for the current playing squad and how they've turned it around. Two away games, tough games, Western Sydney away and then the Bulls away, and they've got 4 points from that. So really looking forward to hearing from him. But before that, we can get into the recap of the A-League. Do we touch on your game first, or do we just skip over that one again?
No, we'll go. Let's go in order. Let's go in order.
All right. Well, first off, we had on our Thursday night football, Melbourne City against Adelaide United. Not actually the game that we were probably expecting in terms of scoreline. Melbourne City winning was okay. I think a lot of people might have predicted that, but we were expecting a lot more goals. What did you think of that game?
Yeah, well, we did say last week the Thursday and the Friday we thought could be our games of the round, but I suppose a little bit underwhelming from just a scoreline point of view. But I think the game itself was a decent quality. Melbourne City. Look, Terry Antona scores another bomb. He scored a couple this year now. So it was good result for Melbourne City, but Adelaide United had their chances, to be honest. Ibasuki had a really good header, and Iran Kunda had the one-on-one, and Jamie Young, I have to say, pulled some big saves and kept them in the game. And yeah, Melbourne City win the game, but for Adelaide, I suppose I'll be probably a little bit disappointed because they did have some chances.
Yeah, I honestly think like watching that game compared to the Sydney FC game where they won the week before, I thought they were probably better in this game, Adelaide, and obviously you don't win, and that's just how football goes sometimes. If you don't take your chances, of course, like you said, Antonis, it was an unbelievable strike. So not much the keeper Delianov could have done with that, but overall there wasn't really many other chances for Melbourne City, and Adelaide had the bulk of the shots anyway. Nesta had probably 9 or 10 shots, I reckon, in that game, and he played really well, but just couldn't finish. And like you said, Jamie Young came up big, and that's really just how it goes sometimes. And it's just such a big game because everybody's, especially in that group, you're all on the same points, or 3 points behind, or 3 points ahead. So massive win for City, and just means the game for Adelaide this week against Central Coast is that much bigger, because you don't want to fall behind. You want top 4 if possible, but top 2 is obviously, I'm sure, what everyone is aiming for, and you don't want to drop too many points at this time of the year.
Yeah, I think just the way the season's been, so many games are on a knife edge, and if you don't take your chances and the other team does score a goal like that, I think we've been on probably the receiving end more often than not this season of games like that. And at the end of the day, things happen. We've had 10 losses now, and you can't always put it down to the game being on a knife edge and we deserve to win. At the end of the day, it's football, and if you don't take those chances, then you end up ruining them later on. And Melbourne City got the 3 points, which was important. But we'll go on to the Friday night game, the massive Big Blue. And I suppose the biggest talking point that I suppose we can start off with is the controversial red card for Pat Wood. And what did you make of that?
Yeah, I personally just can't understand, like, what are they even looking at? And, for a player, like, of course your studs are going to be raised sometimes because you can't keep your feet on the ground. Like, that, the reality is, if the ball's in the air, you've got to touch the ball, and your studs will always come off the ground. He had no eyes. He didn't even know Traore was there. Like, he's trying to, like, hold off his centre back. He's trying to touch the ball with the outside of his foot to cushion it down for himself. And, all right, yeah, his studs obviously touched Traore. There was no force whatsoever, because anybody that knows about football knows if you're trying to take a touch with the outside of your foot and cushion the ball down, it has to be a very soft touch. Otherwise, if you've locked your ankle and you're going through with force, your touch is going to go into row Z. So why VAR even called him over, and then to give the red after you see it, like, it, I don't know. I honestly don't know what to do. And I know it's not just the A-League, it's the rest of the world with football, some decisions, but everything on video looks worse, and they need players. They actually need ex-players to be in the VAR booth, I think, to call the referee over, because they're the ones that will say, no, that's not a red card, or don't even bother about it. Where the current referees, they're just gone by the letter of the law, and not any disrespect to them. It's a hard job, but I just think they've gotten so many wrong, and it actually does kill the game, because it's a top game.
Yeah, that look, if you're Sydney FC, you're absolutely fuming, and there's no words that you can say, especially in the media, to describe how you're feeling, because it's puzzling. It's puzzling how that can be a red card in such a big game like that. I know the rules should be the same for every game, but especially in big games like that, you got to think about the repercussions and the way that it's going to actually affect the product of the football for the rest of the game. And don't get me wrong, if it's a 2-foot challenge, studs up, over the ball, it's a red card. You can't say anything about that. But
like
when there
Simmons
decisions
on
like this, that was
a
we'll speak
horrible
about
tackle.
that one after. Yeah, that was probably one of the worst I've seen. But this one is just, look, credit to Sydney FC, because they held on, and that was unbelievable. Melbourne Victory had so many chances, just couldn't find that winner. But if you're a Sydney FC player, fan, you're buzzing, because to play that long with 10 men against the team who's dominated the league for the whole season so far, away from home, you're absolutely buzzing to get a point out of that game. But if I'm Ufuk Talay, I am fucking ropeable.
Yeah, because it like, they did, like you said, they were unbelievably well organised, shut out the game. Of course, Victory, you're always going to have chances. When you've got the extra men, you're going to create more, but they didn't take them. And Sydney did very, very well. But I'm sure Sydney FC, until that point, were probably thinking, this is our game to win here. Like, we're going to be the first ones to beat Victory. It's a statement in the league. Ufi's been there for, probably a month or so now. But, that's a big game you want to win. And I don't know. Of course, we can talk about this for ages, and it just seems like we're always talking about it. The O'Shea one last week. Now this one. If you go through every game, there's times when players will accidentally stamp on your foot, or they'll go to kick the ball and it will follow through, and the studs will hit their shins. Like, where does it obviously stop then? Because there's no intent behind it, which should be the number one thing. There's no malice behind it. Was it reckless? Yeah, it was probably a little bit reckless, because he obviously did catch him. But, like, it's not a red card.
Yeah. For me, a foul. Honestly, a foul, not even a yellow card. I wouldn't even give that a yellow card.
Yeah.
O'Shea, week before, probably a yellow card will do.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I mean, with a bit of force, you're a bit over the ball. All right, no worries, yellow card, that's fine. But the difference between a yellow and a red in a game of football is massive. Yeah. And I feel like at the moment, the way the decisions are being called, it's like one could be a yellow, the next one could be a red, and it shouldn't be that close. There should be a clear differentiation of red card. That's definitely warrants a red card, and this is a yellow card. So it's disappointing, but that was the big blue. Unfortunately, that was the biggest news to talk about. Obviously, Machach gets a
who made the big blue.
Yeah, who made the big blue? That's exactly right. But Machach scores again against Sydney FC, and Courtney Perkins got himself on the score sheet. Bit fortuitous, but still have to put it in. And shares are spoiled in the big blue. So
no, it's
that's enough, I suppose, of that game. We'll crack on now to Western United, and Western Sydney Wanderers, and another loss for us. And it's not getting any easier as the weeks go on to come on here and talk about it in the best way possible. But, that's what we're doing. And to be honest, I try and be as open as possible. And the game against Western Sydney, obviously, I spoke last week and said that, the last time we played them, it was very clear in my mind still. And I remembered that game, and I didn't want to have another repeat result of that. And I think it was far from that type of game. We were more than in the game to begin with, and we had some really good chances. But as we said before, it's happened too many times that it's been like that in the game, and it feels like we're in the game, and then the same old story that we don't take our chances, and then on the other end, we're not defending maybe as desperate or as well as we should be, and we cop a goal, and Lockie Brooks seems to just love scoring against us. But then they go obviously down to 10 men with the tackle on Kane Vidmar, which was probably one of the worst tackles I've seen this year in the league by Simmons. But he's a top player, to be honest. And I was speaking to some of the players from Western Sydney after the game, and they said he's got that aggression in him as well, which I actually love. I'm a fullback myself, and to be good on the ball is one thing, but to have that aggression is a completely different side, and he's got that. But I think that one was just quite a bit too far over the line. But we played the last 15, 20 against the 10 men, and we created some decent openings, but probably not as many as I would have liked. I feel like if the game maybe had gone on a bit longer, that we probably would have got something, because there were chances there, and Western Sydney really just tried to shut up shop. They were going long off goal kicks, and we were able to get the ball back and have quite a bit of the ball. But just disappointing that we weren't able to take something out of that game, especially after you're playing against 10 men.
Yeah, I guess we can leave it at that. I think there's the best thing we say about football is there's another game this weekend, and you guys just need to start turning it around, because there's still time. But the longer the season goes, the harder it becomes. It's just that's the way it is when things are going against you, and if they keep going against you, the confidence within everybody drops, and small things go against you. It's really, really tough to be in. So I hope for the podcast's sake, that Western United can get a few wins on the board. But we can move on from that, and you can focus on the other games. And the Jets against the Knicks, another big 3 points. Zavada coming back from injury, scores the winner at the end. I think he put up an Instagram post saying, what was it, something like the A-Leagues, did you miss me, or something along those lines. So he's seems like a character. I think he also came out saying he was the best striker in the league before or earlier in the year. So I like that confidence. It's a bit, especially in Australia, people don't like that tall poppy syndrome. Everybody loves to cut everyone down, but you got to have something about you to speak like that. You just have to back it up on the field, and he's certainly doing that.
Yeah, he loves it. He doesn't mind himself, I reckon. But honestly, as a striker, I don't mind that either. If my striker is that confident, as long as it's not all a facade and then they're going out there on the weekend and they don't have the ball and they're hiding, then it's no good. But if you're going to speak like that and you back it up with your actions, then fair play, good on you. And top finish, to be coming back from injury, obviously you want to get back on the score sheet as soon as possible. And yeah, what a finish, left foot across the keeper, very hard to save. And the Knicks go on. They're still one of the lowest XG in the league, but they sit top. And, for as good as Melbourne Victory have been throughout this season, unbeaten, Wellington are still sitting above them at the moment.
Yeah, it's the XG stat is a crazy one. Like, of course, it means absolutely nothing at the end of the day, because what matters is the end scoreline in individual games and the ladder. But it is a good indication to know, will their luck run out? Can they keep taking these chances? That obviously, the XG is showing that the statistics are that most people don't score from there. And it's not like they've got the best strikers in the world and the best finishers in the world, and that's why. It's just people are hitting form and they're taking their chances, and then defensively, obviously, they're very solid. So it'll be interesting to see if they can keep it up. But I hope especially with Auckland coming into the league next year, it's a really good thing for Wellington to be on, because there's going to be competition next year. So hopefully the Wellington faithful can get behind them, and everybody there that's whether they like football or not, they can actually get behind and go out to their games and, keep supporting them, because they're in with a great chance in finishing top 2 100%. But, top spot, they're top at the moment, and they don't look like they're going to drop too many points. So interesting to see if Chiefy can keep them going. And they were linked with a Costa Rican midfielder, I think it was today, or yesterday that came out. So they're obviously looking to get some other players in to help them push for that title. So let's see how they can go.
Yeah, no, it'll be a bit of a fairy tale story for Wellington if they can, go deep into finals and get that top 2 position. I think back to, COVID times when the players gave up so much. They were living in Wollongong. They were playing games in Wollongong. There weren't any games in New Zealand for, I can't even remember how long. And then, that when they finally got back there to have that support. So, look, I'm happy that Wellington are doing well. I think it's good for the league for Wellington to be doing well, and hopefully, they get good crowds when they are doing well, and the Wellington people, they really do get behind them. So hopefully they can do well and go deep into finals.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's good. It's good for the league to have someone else up there. Let's see how they go. But going on to the other team, the most informed team in the competition, the Mariners, everyone was writing them off after the first 3 or 4 weeks, and they just keep winning. Probably not the most convincing performance, I would say. Brisbane had a bit of possession and looked okay. Waddingham had a really good chance to make it 1-1. But top goal first off for Central Coast, and then Torres to finish it off at the end. They just look a really well organised team. They fight for each other. They're bringing other players in. They've lost Tulio, who we spoke about. Can they cover that? And since then, or even just before Tulio left, Torres scored that hat-trick, and he's on fire now. So he's obviously taken on that extra responsibility. Nisbet's playing really well. They're looking like they're going to be similar to last year, and everybody, on paper would say they don't have the best squad, maybe, but they're all playing to their absolute best, and they're all fighting for each other, and it's good to watch.
Yeah, that's been the story for the last couple of years. Even when Monty was there, they're probably the players that you would never have really looked at them too much before they had that season. Your young boys like your Triantis, like no one really knew too much of him, but at the end of the day, when you're an unknown player like that, when you're a young player and you come in and you do play to that level, then obviously someone saw something in him because he got bought by Sunderland. And a lot of those players now, like your Nisbets, who were a little bit of a kind of an unknown, you hadn't heard too much about them. Now you look at Nisbet and, he's probably one of the best midfielders in the league. I think probably if you're any team, you'd be taking him. So Farrell got the assist as well for the DiPizio goal, and he's always solid. I've said it a lot of times. I think he's one of the best left backs in the league, and gets forward. He's very solid defensively, and got the assist for DiPizio. I actually thought he was going to cut it across to Qual, I think it was. That was in there. I reckon if he didn't score the goal, he would have got a bit of an earful, but he put it away. It was a top finish, and I did have a feeling that without O'Shea, Brisbane would struggle to have that creative kind of side, because a lot of the play does go through O'Shea, but Central Coast, they managed to get it done 2-0, and they'll be happy with a clean sheet as well.
Yeah, no, it's great game, and I'm looking forward. I guess Adelaide plays Central Coast, I think it is this week, so that should be an interesting one to see as well, and see if they can go on the road and win again. But our last game of the round is MacArthur v Perth Glory, and bit of an interesting game. Like it was not a bad game. It kind of looked like, obviously, once MacArthur went 2-1 up and once they scored the penalty through Jermaine, you kind of thought, this is done. And then Willow steps up at the end, scores the equaliser. It was a great run, great finish. I think it was Vujitsa who was kind of in two minds with, I guess, showing him inside or trying to block the pass out to his left. And Willow's done really well. He's come on off the bench and scored a few goals now, and that's what you want from your experienced players, to kind of help the younger boys around you, impact off the bench. De Villa's, still one of the best players in the competition by far, and that team really does run through him. But for Glory, another solid point, and they can. I'm assuming they're back in Perth this week, and they can go back there and hopefully keep building on that, and they'll have their owners sorted out pretty soon, I reckon, as well.
Yeah, I think that's something that needs to get sorted out very soon. I was watching that game with a keen eye because obviously our guest today, Stef Colakovski, was playing, so I was keeping a close eye on him, and he was an angry man. I have to ask him about it, but he was getting in fights and gritting his teeth at the referee. I think he got booked as well, which was a bit of a laugh. So
what's I guess we'll speak to him a bit, but is he an angry person?
Oh, like he's not someone to back down. If you go at him, he's not someone to back down. Like he'll be up for a fight, and he does play that way. Like he works hard, he runs hard, he'll tackle. Like he's not afraid to tackle. He's not one of those strikers that isn't interested in doing the hard, the dirty work. But yeah, he was a bit of an angry man. I'll have to ask him about it. Yeah, I think maybe he was upset that he didn't have tags up there. His strike partner for that game. But I thought they would struggle, to be honest, as well without tags to create. But they did sort of look for a little bit like they were maybe not going to get back in the game. But I suppose that's why you've got an experienced player like Willow to bring on off the bench, because he didn't really do too much aside from that. But he's one of those players that comes alive in the box, and he's got a top finish on him. He always has. And 2 weeks in a row, he's come up big at the end of the game and saved a point for Perth there. So it's good.
Yeah, exactly. We'll go through our news of the week before we get our guest on. And I guess the biggest news outside of the A-League is the Asian Cup that's going on at the moment. The Socceroos comfortably beat Indonesia. There was a lot of still negativity online about their performances. And you know what? It's right. At the end of the day, fans are fans. They have a right to voice their opinion. But you know what? 4-0 comfortable win against Indonesia. You go through to the next stage, and all eyes are obviously on your Saudi Arabia, South Korea game, which is on tomorrow morning. We've obviously got a few extra days recovery, which will play a massive part in it. And if you win that game, it really does open up your side of the draw. So I'm interested to. I'm not going to be up at 3 a.m. watching that game. I'll probably watch a replay or see some extended highlights of it. But you know, it's going to be exciting to see who we get next, and that next game is going to be a really big one for us.
Yeah, that'll be massive. Obviously, at the time of recording, it's Tuesday, so we're still awaiting to see the result of the South Korea-Saudi game. By the time this episode is live, that result will be final. But yeah, it's going to be, I think that next game, probably we win that. I think we make the final for sure. Not for sure, but that is a final, that game in itself, really, I would say, against either South Korea or Saudi, two very, very strong nations. I think on the other side, Japan look like the clear favourites to go all the way as well. But we have drawn that side of the group, so we'll see, I suppose, what that result will hold. And hopefully, I'm hoping that the boys can go all the way. I think, you win 4-0, you can say what you want. At the end of the day, the job's to win games in these tournaments. It doesn't really matter how ugly you do it. I think if we win the rest of the games 1-0 and play like absolute shit, no one will be complaining if we bring the Asian Cup back home to Australia. So we'll see. Exactly. We'll see that story will unfold, I suppose, over the next week. But wishing the Socceroos all the best.
Yeah, and now on referees in the A-League, Ali Areza, who is probably, how do you put it, the least approachable referee and just takes absolute no shit from any player, was in the mix of it last night with the Iraq v Jordan game, sending a player off for the celebration, which I don't know, like I feel like he loves to be the center of attention. He wants to do that, so he's actually looking for things where he can kind of do it. And the A-League's post congratulating him for going away, I think has reached over 550,000 comments.
No way.
So
I haven't seen it. I haven't even seen the celebration, to be honest. I saw the news and I saw just like a still photo of it. I don't know, what was the guy doing? He was like sitting on the ground or something.
Yeah, it was just, I think it was for the sitting on the ground, but I think it was more for just how long they were celebrating for. But like, is there a rule that says, like, I don't know, maybe we need to get a referee on and they can explain it to us. But you know what? The key part, which is obviously going down, maybe these 550 comments will get them enough clicks to get it back up.
Maybe. Maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
so maybe it was time wasting. I don't know. I suppose you can just add the time on. I suppose if there's a goal, just stop the clock and see how much time was gone throughout that time of the celebrations and add it on at the end. I don't know, but
look,
I think he's
who
a
do you
good
book then
referee,
for
to be
time?
honest.
Yeah, but who do you book for time wasting? The whole team's like going to be celebrating with you. You know what I mean? Like, anyway, I just think use your brain in those situations and your understanding of the game. Like, it's obviously a massive rivalry in the region. It's the Asian Cup to get you into the quarterfinal. I don't know. Just let it go, because he's on a yellow. You give him another yellow, and then you're the talking point. So, I think
Who knows? Yeah.
I don't know if it was offensive, whatever they did. I think both teams did do it, because I saw both the celebrations. So why didn't the players get the yellow card in the first instance? I don't know. And that's another thing. I hate how players get yellow cards for taking their top off, because it was brought in so you don't have messages underneath that can be controversial or to do with politics or religious. I get that. But if a player's got no message underneath and he just takes his top off, or it says like, "Happy birthday, mum," why is that a yellow card?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like,
it's a strange rule. And the refs hate giving it, because I remember when Pena scored against MacArthur and he took his shirt off, the ref was like, I hate having to do this, but I have to give you a yellow card. So
it just doesn't...
Yeah, I don't know.
Just a weird rule. What if you take your pants off and start swirling around? You reckon that's all right?
Depends what message you've got underneath.
Depends how much it's bulging. Anyway,
that's enough.
The referee talk.
Yeah, off the referee talk, we've got, I suppose, some transfer news, actually. Adelaide keeper, you would know more about this than me, Steph. Stephen Hall to Brighton Hove Albion. I suppose, talk to me a little bit about him. Have you been training with him since you've been there with Adelaide?
Yeah, so he was there when I was last there. I think he started training and played he played his first game as like a 16-year-old potentially, which was pretty crazy. He actually came to my going away party when I had all the boys over before I went to Japan, and his dad brought him because he didn't even have his license. So his dad stayed here as well for a few beers and a barbecue. And I just remember thinking, like, this is crazy. Like, this guy's so young. Like, I was 25, I think, when I left, 26. But now a couple of years later, here he is. Obviously hasn't played any more games since then, but gone away with the national teams, done really well. He's touted to be a really, really good keeper, and obviously in training you can see it. But it's a big call from Brighton to, I guess, dip into the market and get the player before he does start playing, which will increase his market value. So I guess for Adelaide, you take your guaranteed money. He gets a great experience. He gets to be in a world-class environment. Brighton are known for kind of finding players before they're ready to play. They'd like to develop them for a few years. So, fair play to him. Great for Adelaide to get a transfer fee. I've got no idea how much it was. But yeah, it's great. It's great news, really. I think with the league, you want to sell players. You want to keep doing that. Another player, Alex Popovic, is rumoured. I don't think it's confirmed, but the rumours that are circulating are that he's off to Korea. So another player, who's come through Adelaide United, and they're selling players. So if you're a young player in Adelaide, you're going to get opportunities. You wouldn't look to leave here because you'll get games, you'll play. And, they start to create relationships, I'm sure, with clubs to keep doing this. So it's great business, because that's the world of football. You can't make money, just through, merchandise and ticket sales and sponsorship. Player sales is the number one thing for a lot of it. And A-League teams need to start getting better at it, which Adelaide have been doing for quite a while.
Yeah, I think when you just look at the landscape of the A-League and our salary cap, let's say 2.5 million, give or take. Now, if you sell one player for 2.5 million, that's your salary cap for a whole year looked up. Now, I know that there's going to be costs that go elsewhere, but at the end of the day, are you all right?
just choking on the water.
There's gonna be obviously costs that go elsewhere. So I understand that certain things need to be paid and whatever. It's not all going to go back towards, but that's not a lot of money in the grand scheme of some of these clubs. Now, for a club like Brighton, and obviously the young boy wouldn't have got sold for anywhere near that. But the A-League clubs need to be thinking about, okay, we're paying this guy whatever it is, but for players like for clubs like Adelaide United, it's perfect. That they need to be that selling club, and they've done it year on year. And I think, as you said, if you're a club looking over, you look straight to Adelaide United because you look at the average age of their squad, the average age of their starting 11s throughout probably this season and even seasons before is so low. And you also look at how many players have moved on. So I think it's great for Adelaide, and that talent pool in Adelaide is just ridiculous. And we spoke about it off air that, it's the only club obviously in Adelaide. So they've got no competition. Whereas, your New South Wales, your Victorian clubs, it is a little bit different, but they're doing something right at a junior level, and it's transferring through to the A-League level.
Something in the water. Everybody complains about the water tasting like shit here in Adelaide, but you know what? Maybe that bit of shit taste is what's developing the players. So instead of complaining about it, just get it down, and you'll turn into Nesto Irukunda. So we'll see if any more players move on from Adelaide United. You never know. What is it? 2 days to go to Europe before that closes. Asia's open a little bit longer, but honestly, this is the time. It's been a really weird transfer window. There's been no deals getting done in Europe. So I think, having the Asian Cup on, having the AFCON on, I think it's kind of delayed it a little bit. So we'll see in the next couple of days what happens in Europe. And then Jimmy Jago rumored to be coming back to Melbourne City to replace Saki, which is a good signing. He's obviously a top player. And then Perth Glory are allowed to sign players apparently now. So they've got Josh Rawlins back on loan from Utrecht, and another good young player that hasn't kicked on as I'm sure he would have liked. So it'll be good for him to come back and just play some games in the second half of the year, and then go back over there hopefully to cement his spot, whether it's Utrecht or another team in Europe. So that's the transfer news. Unless you've got anything more for us, you moving anywhere?
No, I'm not moving anywhere. It's
South
not
Melbourne,
news.
Preston.
The news for you, Steph. I don't know if do you want to tell people about the big move that you've got lined up?
Oh, I've got nothing lined up. I'm here twiddling my thumbs. I'm thinking about maybe hanging the boots up and just going full-time podcaster.
We'll see how it keeps going.
Doesn't pay well, but it's not bad.
We'll keep plugging away. There might be something in it for you.
Yeah, we'll see. But we've got the big man coming in, the most important Stef of the day. So let's welcome him to the podcast.
Colakovski is there in support. Colakovski! Stefan Colakovski! That's a lovely touch from Colakovski. Brilliant finish. And Colakovski applying the finishing touch.
Here he is. He's in the studio. The king of Perth Glory, Big Stef Colakovski. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you very much, bro. Steph, nice to meet you. And Ben, nice to chat to you again.
How have you been, brother?
Yeah, I've been good. I've just been at the beach for a couple of hours, getting a bit of a tan. And you guys made me come out of the sun to come and do this. So here I am.
There's nothing healthy about a tan. That's one thing that I'm learning out. The older you get, the more wrinkles you get from being in the sun. So you know what? Skin cancers, we're looking after you.
Yeah, that's true, actually. That's true.
What, you got a day off today?
Nah, we just had recovery this morning and yoga.
Oh, yeah.
So because we just landed yesterday.
Yeah, nice. Well, actually, that's one thing I want to touch on straight away, because we were just talking about it before you got in here, and what was going on in the game? You were a little bit angry. You were there gritting your teeth at the referee. What was going on? What was wrong?
I just got upset because I didn't understand why I got a yellow card, and I still don't understand why. So, do you expect me to be happy about that, or?
You were doing the right thing. You were running back for the team as a good striker should. you were doing
exactly.
your bit. And yeah, to be fair, I didn't really think it was actually a foul, but
I
it
thought it
is
was a
what it is.
foul.
Yeah.
I thought it was a foul, but I thought that was it. Like, and you guys have played for ages. You and the opposition are gonna say stuff to each other. That doesn't warrant a yellow card. That's just you have a bit of argy bargy, a bit of handbags, and then that's it. Leave it at that. But
Yeah.
old mate thought, all right, let's give him a yellow ticket. So here we are.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
I
it's
love it.
you know what? If you've got you and big tags up front, that's a whole lot of anger that's getting thrown about. I tell you what.
Yeah, tags. Well, he's not the happiest bloke going around. So, so,
He's
so
rubbing off on you.
yeah. So it's either just neutral facial expressions or angry facial expressions. So maybe I am taking a leaf out of his book, and it's all the anger. So yeah, that's true.
He's an angry man, bro.
He
He's
is.
an angry man until he scores and he starts giving it these ones. He's buzzing, and then
Yeah, again.
he's straight back to angry.
Yeah, no, he's happy for about 5 minutes, and then it's anger again. So
Yeah, it's too
What a
good.
guy, though. What a guy he is.
yeah, ledge of a bloke.
What's
Steph,
up
do
with
you
him?
wanna-
I was just gonna say, we get the inside scoop on big tags. Is he back in this week or is it a few weeks?
I don't know exactly. I'm pretty sure it's just a little niggle. So
Yeah.
um, I think I hope he could be. I'm sure he thinks he'll be in this week. So I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
But we'll know probably more tomorrow.
Steph's trying to plan his A-League fantasy. That's why.
Well, I said to Tags early in the year, I said I reckon you'll get top goal scorer, so I need him to be out there.
Well,
I didn't
to
put
be
money. I
fair,
didn't put money on it, but
to be fair, he's still up there. Obviously, Bruno started off ridiculous, but Tags isn't that far. Oh,
Yeah,
what, 5
yeah.
goals or so?
just need a hat trick or something to
Yeah.
get him right back up there.
Just
But
a
no,
hat.
it's a good partnership you two are forming up front. But we'll go back to, I guess, your early career, your junior career, a Melbourne City fan turning into a Melbourne City player. I guess, where did your junior career start, and how did you get involved with Melbourne City? I guess supporting them and then playing for them.
Supporting was just because my old man, obviously Melbourne Victory were the only Melbourne team, so I went and saw some Victory games as a kid, but as soon as Melbourne Heart started, we were foundation members, kind of just because of my dad. My dad knew someone involved in the club, and yeah, we became fans from then. And then the journey to the City Academy was kind of, I was just playing locally for my club at Pascoe Vale, just local NPL, and they they offered me a trial in the academy, when I was 15, and kind of just worked my way up from there. I mean, it wasn't all, sunshine and rainbows, but as you boys would know, but it was a pretty kind of natural progression of, local league, local NPL, Melbourne City under 20s, Melbourne City senior NPL, and then eventually into the first team.
Yeah, top. You obviously went through that program, the Melbourne City Academy, with some other players that have gone on to do amazing things. Obviously, who were you there with when you first got there? Was Natty there? Was Nate there? Was Connor there? You went through that program with basically all of those boys, didn't you? And then obviously went all the way.
Yeah, pretty much with those two boys. Me and Nate were in the under 20s together in 2016. And Dylan was involved as well. Dylan Piraeus. Connor by then was already kind of in the senior NPL setup as opposed to the under 20s, but he would come down. So, but yeah, that was kind of the group. There were a few more, like there were quite a lot more actually. But probably Nate and Connor, we kind of went the whole way together. Those boys obviously got into the first team a lot earlier than me and have gone on to do amazing things. So I'm wrapped for them. But yeah, like from that year, we've kind of progressed all in different ways. But yeah.
Were you part of the youth team then? When Nate said he was going back to Tasmania? for that.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, obviously didn't know about that story. Yeah, we were. That was a great moment actually for all of
What
us.
is that story?
I don't know if I'm the guy to say that story. You need to get Nate on here.
Yeah, we'll have to get him on. He's
Oh,
told her.
is
Honestly,
that when he was said he was going back to Tassie and he wasn't in Tassie?
It's just Nate being Nate and saying, yeah, pretty much he's gone. And yeah, I don't want to say too much because what he said, his excuse was so bad.
Yeah,
Like his reason for going back to Tassie. And I think we just had a night out. I think it might have been end of season trip.
yeah. I think
And
you had
I
a,
was
I
just
think you had a
thinking,
hotel room. I think you had a hotel room, and
yes,
but
that's
the
right.
problem was, you know what? If you're gonna lie, firstly, it's a bad thing to do. But then you got to make sure that everybody knows. One, you can't have any photos. You can't talk about
Yeah.
it. People are coming in the next day at training talking about
Correct.
him, and
Yes.
then the physios are thinking, "Wait, what? Who was there?"
Yeah.
So we've got to get him on. We've actually got to get him on. Once the
Yeah,
Asian
you
Cup's
I want
done,
him to
we'll...
say
Hey.
the whole story.
It
Oh,
can't be that bad, boys, because he's at the Asian Cup right now, playing in a
True.
quarterfinal in a couple of days, and we're here sitting on our ass talking on a podcast.
On a podcast, yeah. Maybe I got to
Yeah.
start lying and saying I got to go back to Melbourne.
Oh shit!
Oh,
Nah, it's
so good.
yeah, that was funny. That was funny. I thought you might have been part of that team. So you went through the 20s into the youth team. How hard was it, to break? Because obviously Melbourne City, me and Ben were obviously both there. We were there, Melbourne Heart. So you would have seen us probably both make our debuts potentially for Melbourne Heart. And then going from youth team, the 20s to the youth team is obviously a pretty easy jump, I'm sure. But
Yeah.
going from youth team to then the first team, how challenging was that? And did you always kind of think that you were going to be one of the players that would make that jump?
Great question. I think you always need to have that belief, I'm gonna make it. But it's hard, as you know, it's a dog eat dog environment. Like you're competing essentially with your teammates to make that next step. So
Yeah.
the youth team to the A League team, I always kind of thought, oh yeah, like I can do it. But there was also a lot of doubt as well. And especially, like I said, seeing other boys progress and me kind of staying in that setup for longer. And I did my ACL when I was in the youth setup at 17, which as you know is such a big age, like 17, 18, 19. That's an age where a lot of boys kind of make it or break it, or make it or don't, I should say. So I did my ACL as well, which kind of set me back even more. So I'm seeing my teammates playing A-League and I'm out injured with an ACL thinking, fuck, I'm going to sign for Altona Magic or Preston Macedonia in 3 months' time. So that was the reality. But once I came back from the ACL, I was in uni and there was me and a few other boys who didn't have school who would always train with the first team. And whether we trained with the first team because of we were good enough or because we were just available to train because we didn't have school, that I don't know. I think it was more because we were just available. But I took the opportunity with both hands. I thought, even if I'm just here for a number, just because they need me, I need to show that this is where I belong. Now, I'm not going to say the transition was smooth because there were some rough patches and some run-ins with coaches and players, especially first coming in. I had a bleach blonde haircut, number 99. I thought I was Neymar rocking up to A-League training, and I've got Spider, Spider, the keeper coach,
So
calling me a
Colakovski.
Spider. Yeah, and he would in front of everyone say, "Who the fuck did your hair? That looks fucking terrible." And that was my first ever A-League session. So it wasn't like the easiest transition, but yeah, I think that feeling of belief was always there, even though there were moments of doubt.
That's
Yeah.
that's an interesting one. Just on that, I think that's something that's like, it's so irrelevant what your haircut is, whether you wear earrings, whether you rock up in a Ferrari because your dad or mum has a Ferrari. Like that stuff doesn't matter because who you are as a person, a player. That's completely separate. But first impressions do count, and I think the old school, Spider for sure, obviously would have been
Yeah.
getting stuck into you. We've both had it as well. Now it's not as big. I see
Yeah.
some young boys. I'm training with Adelaide at the moment to keep fit, and boys are wearing earrings during the session. I'm thinking,
Yeah.
fuck, are you allowed to do that now?
Huh.
Like
We got
it's just
fucking ripped out our ears.
yeah,
Yeah.
like it's
Well, see.
it's a different world now.
Yeah, but I don't hate that. I if anything, I like that old school thing. So even now, obviously, I'm not an old player, but I see young boys coming up. I think the same thing. I think take your fucking earrings off. You're not training with
Uh,
your earrings, or you know, go wash the kitchen or this or that. All that old school stuff, I 100% believe in because I went through it, and I think it made me realize, what needs to be done to become a seasoned pro
uh-huh.
or a mainstay in the team. So I'm all for a confident player or even a confident kid coming up and having a crazy haircut and this and that, having something about him. But on the flip side, I think there also needs to be someone to say, pull your fucking head in because you're a nobody here. And that's what I needed to hear. And
Yeah.
I probably heard it more than I wanted to, but when I had the likes of, Kiz Norbo and Scotty Jamo and people like that, but I needed to hear it because otherwise I probably would have thought I was too good and then I wasn't even good enough. And then I would have been, maybe not even playing.
Yeah. It's you've never played with him, Stefan Moore that I'm talking to here, not Collar. But obviously this guy is he's Stefan Colakovski and he doesn't give a fuck what anyone else thinks, because if you saw some of the kits that this guy rocked up to training in, you would not believe it. I was there for one season with him, and about the only good thing that I saw him wear was a Liverpool kit because we're both Liverpool fans. So I'll give him that. But you know what? I actually rate your fashion. I am lying, but he wears some very out there things, which obviously as a first impression with maybe older players, they're thinking, who the fuck does this guy think he is? But
Yeah.
one thing I will give to you is that, to be fair, you're a lot younger, and that sometimes the younger boys these days, they don't have that will to work. I see some of the younger boys, even at my club, and I think like, do you really want to be here? Whereas you're someone that you fucking work your ass off. You'll go around, you'll kick an older player, you won't care. If they want to have a fight with you, you won't back down. And that's what I was saying before about, and I do rate that. And that's probably why you did sort of get over that hurdle and then continue to go. But I think it's pretty amazing, that you went through that with Nate Atkinson, with Connor Metcalf and other boys as well. But, you won it all. You went on, you started in the semi, scored, you started in the grand final, you set the goal up for Nate, didn't you?
Yeah.
So like, look, I think that's amazing. Like, how was that? How was it, I suppose, to go from supporting that club to going on to win it all? Like, there's nothing better than that. And doing it with some of your best mates, it can't get any better than that.
Yeah, it's almost, I know it sounds a bit cliche, but it is a bit surreal, that whole sort of time. And, I wish it wasn't during COVID. Not that made that much of a difference, but that season and especially that time, that final series was something that I'll look back on, with as some of the best memories ever. Like you said, we had such a good team and doing it with some of my best mates, and going through the hurdles that I went through. Not just me, everyone goes through hurdles. So I'm not saying just the hurdles I went through, but for my story, the shit that I went through to eventually make it and then play under a coach that, I'd run through a brick wall for a club that I'd do anything for, and for teammates that, were out 2 times a week on the piss,
Yeah.
enjoying ourselves. So,
Our grand final celebrations would have been better at Miss Collins if it wasn't COVID,
oh,
that's for sure.
or Blush or Electric or any of the, but like it was that whole time was everything was perfect. And I remember speaking, I think, to Roston Griffiths, and I remember him saying to me, he's like, Steph, enjoy this moment, because people go their whole careers without winning a trophy, let alone winning a trophy with teammates that they like and in a club that they like playing for. He said, so, savor this moment. And I remember at the time thinking, nah, fuck, like, I'm going to win plenty more of these. So don't worry, old fart. Like, I'll be all right. But very quickly, very quickly, very quickly, you learn, like, you're like, 2-3 years later, I look back and I'm like, fuck, I'd love to win another trophy. Is, as you guys know, is so special. So yeah, that was a great time. Like I said, we had such a great team, great culture. Everything was perfect then. And yeah, just great memories.
Yeah, I think like you said, I think it's you think when you're younger, like I did at Adelaide when I was young, and you do genuinely just think this is easy, this will be normal. It's so hard. It's one thing to even get to a grand final, but to then win it, fuck,
Yeah.
like some people could lose 5 or 6. Like Jamo lost so many, and he could have went his whole career without winning one.
Yeah.
And fuck regret you'd have, and that disappointment. But you win it when you're younger, it makes it seem easy. But it's also, when you win it when you're older, it makes it that much sweeter. So I think either way, like winning's the best thing in football. The memories that you create, the anniversaries, reunions, I'm sure, 10-year anniversary or 25-year, whatever it is, when you get together, you can always talk about those moments when you're old and fat and just drinking beers.
Yeah.
You can talk about those times and remember how good you all were. So it's really special. And I guess then for you, in the next couple of years, obviously you moved away. What was the reasoning for moving away? Because you just spoke about you're playing for a club that you love, that you supported. What was the reasoning for you to actually move away and to go to Perth?
A new adventure. And not only that, but I mean, my last season at City, or even the season that we won it, and I did play in it, I started in a semi-final and a final, and and did well. And then the season after I think I started 1 or 2 A-League games. So to go from, playing in the biggest match in, Australian football, club football, I should say, to then not playing as much at all, kind of not pissed me off a little bit, but I'm like, well, where do I go from here? And I don't blame anyone. I don't blame anyone, actually, not even myself, but I had, very, very good players in front of me. That's just reality. I had the season after, I had Lecky, Tills, Tilio, McLaren, and Naboo I'm competing with. So they're not just like 4 blokes you just pluck out of the park and be like, oh yeah, they're all right. These guys are all Socceroos. And big players. So for me, it was a bit of like, well, yes, a new adventure, but also I want to go somewhere where I can be. I want to be a key player. I want to be the main man. Obviously, I need to prove it, but I want to be one of the main men and play every week and do well. And I thought and that's where Perth came along, and it was a choice of them or another club, and ended up choosing Perth. And now looking back, even last year, I don't regret the move.
Yeah, we went obviously a little bit south in the first year, and I don't want to. Well, I do want to touch on it because at the end of the day, football is full of challenges, and you go through your ups, you go through your downs. You obviously left Melbourne City for no real other reason other than searching for probably more game time and feeling like you are more a part of a team and feeling like you're an important part of the team that can contribute something on the field. So you make the move over to Perth, which, for someone like you, I know you're a very family orientated kind of person. You're very close to your family, and moving away would have been very difficult, but you went quite a long way away. You didn't just go to, Sydney or Adelaide. You decided to go to the other side of the country.
Yeah.
But I suppose, how was it? Talk us through a little bit about kind of not what happened. You don't have to go into detail, but just how things kind of unfolded and how that was for you mentally to be frozen out like that.
Look, it wasn't easy. I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say it was all rainbows and I was buzzing last year. Um, but it made me learn a lot. And again, I know that that kind of sounds a bit cliche, and to lose a season, you know, football's not a very long career as it is. So to lose a full season is never good. Yeah, it wasn't easy, and it wasn't easy to go through, and especially like you said, kind of being away from family, you know, and being on my own. I was living on my own. You know, there were times where you just get home from training and you're like, you just stare at a blank wall, and you're like, what am I doing? What am I doing here? And then what am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, without getting into detail, it just last season happened, and I don't look at it like and dwell on it. Um, I just thought I can only look forward because, like you said, football's full of ups and downs, and there's going to be people that like you, and there's going to be people that don't like you. That's just reality. And whether you're a big character, loud character, quiet character, no matter what, there's going to be people that do or don't like you. And sometimes you get lucky, and sometimes you don't. So things didn't work out, and I wish they did because I wish I could do what I was doing this season, last season. But that's just it just happened, and now I'm not looking back. I'm just kind of looking forward.
Yeah, I think it's something though. Like I guess a couple things I'd be interested to know. Again, don't want to dwell on it too much, but
No, yeah.
I guess when you were making the decision, firstly, was I guess Zadkovic someone that you were speaking to before you had signed, or was he not even the coach then yet? And then secondly, do you look back on it? Because I think, as footballers, like you touched on, it's a matter of opinion. One player thinks you're the best player in the world. The other guy thinks you can't even tie up his laces. And did you look back on that and think, you know what? I don't agree with this coach's opinion, but what can I learn from this hard experience? Because Ben's been there, I've been there. And that was something that was really important to me as a young player was I did actually look back on the like, you know what? Fuck, he was wrong. But I did a lot where I can improve on as well, and to make me a better player, to make me a stronger person. So I guess, was Zadkovic in with those conversations with you before you signed? And then did you actually reflect on the season to try and figure out what you can actually take away from it?
Yeah. He was part of the conversations to bring me over. But no, 100%. I learned a lot from last season, and that's why I don't even like to point fingers as to why the season happened the way it did. My season happened the way it did because, I'm going to look at myself first. And maybe there were times where I was a shit trainer, and maybe lazier or just a bit more of an attitude and all that. So I wasn't perfect. On the flip side, there were weeks where I was on fire, and I was training and I thought everything I'm touching is turning to gold. And I'm thinking, fuck, I'm going to be in the squad this week. No matter the situation, I'm going to be in the squad. And I didn't. But I think the biggest thing for me was there was never a time, I know I touched on like maybe being a bit lazier or having a bit of an attitude, but there was never a time I went into a session not wanting to be the best. Not even to prove anyone wrong. It was just for myself. And Benny knows me, so he knows how I am at training. I just hate losing. So even if I'm completely frozen out and I know I'm never going to play again, I cannot train and not care about winning. So for me, it was a big there was a lot of learning, involved in last year. And I take away a lot of things, but one thing I kind of give myself credit for is that I didn't spit the dummy out, and I didn't, just ruin sessions by being just a shit teammate. Because if you're on my team at training, you knew I was going to do everything to win. And again, not to prove anyone wrong, just because I want to win and I want to be the best. And it's simple as that.
Yeah, I rate that. I rate that highly because I went through a similar thing. I suppose when I was with you at Melbourne City, I wasn't playing, and there are days. Don't get me wrong. There are days when you're like, "Fuck, am I doing?" And you want to chuck everything in. And I give you credit for that, for not chucking the towel in, and even after the season, not deciding to actually stay there at Perth Glory. Obviously, it's worked out really well so far under Stajic and the way that you're playing and scoring goals. But it would have been very easy for you to go like, what the fuck am I doing here? I've come to Perth Glory. I've moved all this way. I'm leaving. I'm going somewhere else. You know, they've treated me like shit. But to be fair, the harder thing to do is to look within, and you're obviously able to do that. And you still trained hard, which I don't doubt that you would have trained hard. I also don't doubt that there would have been some days when you fucking were hating it. But I would be, honestly, I would be the exact same if I was in that position. So I can't fault you. And I think any professional, when they're getting paid to do something that they love, they want to be able to contribute on the field. And if you're not getting that opportunity, of course you're going to be fucking angry.
Yeah.
I think what you said, Steph, around how, you know, you went out to each session wanting to be the best. And that was your intention. That was your goal when you went out there. And that was actually the exact same as me. I remember when I was in Holland, I psyched myself up for every single session. And I was like, nah, today's the day. I'm going to do this. And then you get out there and for me, it was the coach fucking yelling out shit to you or putting you in the second team or not giving you any respect.
Or not even training.
Yeah, or not even train. Like you're a human being. We're not robots. So your emotions are obviously going to fucking be affected by that. So your confidence drops, your motivation levels drop. And it's not that you don't even want to try. It's like, not that you're depressed, but you just feel like you've had the energy zapped out of you. And you're like, I'm not the player. You know, what I see this season and what I saw when you were younger, you know, you're all energy. So if you don't have your energy and if you don't have that buzz about you, well, you're not going to be the same player. So it's really, really tough, but you know what? I guarantee you'll look back on that throughout the rest of your career. And that's probably why you've started this season so well, because you did give 100%. And we can probably, unless you've got any other questions, Ben, we can probably go into the questions.
Yeah, we've got a lot of questions, and 95% of them end in the last name Collar on the end of the names that have asked the question.
I'm not answering any questions for my brothers or any family.
And you know what? There was also teammates as well. I saw Zimarino and Carluccio giving you a little bit. So we'll maybe stay away from those ones. But obviously we've got a lot of questions for you. But a lot of the questions that we actually got covered a lot of the stuff that I want to know and I want to learn about you. So I suppose I'll ask the first one, Steph. I'll go at Zizou season 10. Steph, top season, man. Love your stuff. What do you feel has been the main driving force behind your great start to this season?
Kind of like I touched on before, just wanting to be the best. That's always, and wanting to win. That's always the motivation. Like, it's not as if I don't use last season as fuel to prove anyone wrong or this or that, because I just think that's kind of thinking more negative. I think more just about me and about the team and what I can do. So, just wanting to go out there and enjoy my football again. And, you know, have a smile on my face and play good football and score goals and win games. It's not like there's actually one thing in particular where I'm like, oh, you know, I want to prove this guy wrong, or I want to prove my under 15 coach wrong because he told me I was shit or this or that. There's nothing like that with me. It's literally just go out, run like a dog, score a goal, celebrate and win. That's all I want to do every game.
Simple.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Nah, I think it's very, very easily put if you do that. And you know what? To be honest, that's what you look like you did against Western Sydney. That was an unbelievable finish. First time, bang it in the bottom corner, and then take the 3 points home to Perth.
Exactly.
So, that's exactly right. We hope you're doing that plenty more times for the rest of the season. And next off, we have at Math Your Page. I don't know if you're allowed to answer this one or you want to, but it says, it seems that your contract ends with Glory at the end of the season. Have you had any talks with the club about extending your contract?
Yes, my contract's up at the end of this year. Look, given the ownership situation, it's hard to kind of, at the moment, talk about, even negotiate about an extension, but I love playing for Perth and I love living in Perth, and I'd love to continue scoring goals here and winning and, you know, helping the team progress up the ladder in the following season. So, I mean, make of that what you will. But yeah, I love playing here, and I love playing for this club.
On that, on the ownership, something that we didn't talk about too much, but you brought it up. How hard has that been for the players? This is a question from me at Stefan Mork on Twitter. How hard has it actually been for the players? Because that stuff there, of course, it doesn't actually really matter too much in the grand scheme of things when you look at it. You're just going out there to be your best at training, but at the same time, you know what's going on. So how has that affected the playing group and the coaching staff and everyone involved with the club this year?
I think it affects the fans most because, as you guys know, all we can do is control what's on the pitch, and what's going on behind the scenes isn't really it's not irrelevant to us. Of course, it's relevant, and even given what I said before, talking about contracts and negotiations and this and that, and signing players and all that. Obviously, it's relevant when it comes to that, but at the end of the day, when it comes to the football pitch, us as players and coaches, that's all we can worry about. Whereas the fans, they're the ones I feel for the most because they're the ones that just want to know what's going on and where the club is heading to, which kind of doesn't put more pressure on us as players, but it means we need to kind of gather strength from within. And, I guess it is a bit of a, not underdog mentality because Perth isn't a small club, but a bit of like backs against the wall, things are going against us, like let's take on everyone who comes in our way. And I think, you guys would agree, it's always fun when, you got your backs against the wall and you got nothing to lose. And that's kind of, I guess, the situation for us now until this whole saga is over, where it's us as players, we go out there and we just fight to win for the fans because, they're the ones who are feeling this more than anyone.
Yeah.
Well put.
I suppose we don't want to keep him too long, Steph. So I don't know if you've got any others. I actually wouldn't mind asking one off my own head as well. And there's one other from at Ben Garucci on X. There's one from Harry WUN that maybe you can ask after Steph. But I just want to ask quickly, how has it been working with Alan Stajic? Obviously, you went to Perth, you were under Ruben Zadkovic, didn't go so well. Obviously, Alan Stagic's come in. He's obviously seen something in you. He's put a lot of faith in you because you weren't playing all the games at the start of the season or starting, but you've managed to work your way in there and you're repaying the faith with some good performances.
Yeah, Stadge is a great coach. He came pretty late into preseason, and I think even he didn't really know what to do with me. In preseason, I remember there was games in preseason I was playing left back, left wing back, and right wing back, and I was always one where I was like, I'm just gonna shut the fuck up, do my job, and build from there. I had no right to go and say, I want to play striker or 10. But I think after a while, and after training, after a long period of training and games, Stadge put me, in attacking positions and, saw me coming off the bench and doing well. And eventually he rewarded me with a few starts. And then, as you guys know, when you're playing good, you're not going to drop someone. So, long may it continue. Obviously, I'm not saying every game from here is going to be a 10 out of 10 performance, but he knows what to expect from me now. He knows what I can do. So, if I do have one bad game, I think he's got enough trust in me to be like, all right, well, we know what he can do. Stadge is great. The whole coaching staff is great. And it's a good environment to be in at the moment, given everything that's going on off the pitch. We still set out to win every game, and we haven't had the best start to the season, but he has full belief in us to do well this season.
Yeah, no, it's I think that's a great lesson. I think for any young player, whether it's at NPL level, whether it's in the youth teams, whether it's in the first team when they break through, you know what? Like sometimes you do get put out of position, and you know what? A coach is going to have a preconceived idea of you based on what people in Perth Glory have said to Stadge when he got there, or what he had seen last year under Zadkovic, or just looking at your Instagram, maybe anything. Coaches, I'm sure they would look at this stuff.
Maybe seeing you
but
in
it's really
Bali.
If he saw me in Bali, he's thinking, put him up top, just give him the ball with his shirt off.
So it's fair play that you did have that attitude and you just worked hard, and you know what, the cream always rises to the top, and if you give 100%, you know what, no coach will ever ask for anything else, and give 100%. And if you're doing that, you're going to get chances because you've obviously got talent. That's something that they can't dispute with. So good to see. And the last question will go at Harry. I'm assuming this is Western United, WUN _
Western.
This probably actually should be a question for Ben based on how well they're going this year. But Steph, how hard is it to go to your fans after losing games? Do you have to put on a fake smile or something, or is it something that you struggle to deal with letting fans down, and that it makes it quite challenging to go over to them?
Well, firstly, I think fans, I mean, let's be real here. I think fans in the A-League sometimes don't realise, and, I was a fan, so I didn't realise back then either, how lucky we are in this country for players to go around and sign autographs and say hello to fans after a game. Because that doesn't happen anywhere else in the world. Let's be real. So
Apart from Liverpool.
Well, not even then. You don't see Mo Salah going behind the goals to sign autographs, there's that. But I think, it's easy after a win. But after a loss, I wouldn't say it's a fake smile, but they are there to support you and the club. And, I know it does sound a bit cliche and it's easy to say from here, but without the fans, there is no club. So at the end of the day, even if we are going through a rough patch, and even, Benny at Western United, you're going through a rough patch and you've still got the loyal fans that are coming every game to watch you play. Even, if you're taking a selfie and instead of smiling, you're just going to do like a thumbs up, at least they're getting a photo, and, at least they get to see that you care for them. So I wouldn't say you put on a fake smile, but it's not like you're bouncing around happy, going to sign autographs. It's just something you do because they come to every game, win, loss or draw.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. It is hard. It's hard, especially after losing. I know it firsthand this season. It's fucking difficult, after some of the game. But I don't want to speak to anyone, and it honestly is really, really hard. But I do usually try and make the effort. Look, there's sometimes I'm probably one of the worst losers that you ever see. I'm a little bit like you. I want to be the best. I want to win all the time, and when I don't win, it's not looking good for anyone that's around me. So it is difficult, but
I think
I suppose
I was just going to say on that, like how you said, like you're fuming after a game and after a loss, and I think, as you'd know, sometimes after a loss, if it's away, for example, you can come in and you can just blast you and your teammates blast each other, and it's a fucking fight in the change room, and you let everything out. When it's at home and you lose, and you go around signing autographs, people walk into the change rooms in dribs and drabs. So you miss that whole episode of everyone in the change room talking about the game. Because once everyone comes in the change room after signing autographs, they're a bit calmer. Whereas if you walk in the change room straight after a game, you're telling, the person next to you, you were fucking dog shit today. Couldn't make one pass. And then it goes from there. Whereas after you sign a few autographs, it's like,
you calm down. Yeah, you're right.
You calm down a bit.
Yeah. Well, I think actually on that, I remember, I think it was Warren Joyce. Well, he gave a few sprays, but I'm pretty sure it was him as well. Where after games, he used to come and make sure when the players were going around, sometimes he'd say, no, get them in the change room. Because in Europe, that doesn't happen. So it's something that, it's really important sometimes to have that conversation straight after the game. And we don't get that here because you do want to go around to the fans. So, it's an interesting thing. But I believe we are going to have to wrap it up because you probably need to go and get a
back
bit
to the
more of a
beach.
tan or
Yeah.
whatever it is you're doing in Perth. There's probably not too much else to do there besides go down to the beach. So we'll let you
You're
go, but
wrong
we
about
really
that, yeah.
we really do appreciate it, and hopefully we can get you on at the end of the season when you've just banged in a few more goals. Maybe we'll get you and Tags on together, and you can tell us
I'll be grumpy.
who's angrier on the field.
He's angrier and grumpier, so that's a good idea.
Nah, it's perfect, bro. Honestly, really appreciate you coming on. Hopefully, Perth Glory. Hopefully, it's onwards and upwards here for the club. For everything that's going on behind the scenes. I'd love to see HBF Park getting packed out again because it wasn't that long ago that those stands were full and the club was in a great position. So hopefully, I'm sure the club will get back to where it was once before. And hopefully for you, on a personal note, you can keep banging them in. It's great to see you back out there. I love watching you gritting your teeth and getting angry at the referee. Just so, really appreciate you joining us on the podcast.
Thank you very much, guys. It was fun. And hopefully we can chat again towards the end of the season.
Football Friends with Ben and Steph is proudly brought to you by the Inner Game Journals, started by none other than our co-host Stefan Moore. The Athlete Performance Journals were created to help athletes of all abilities become more self-aware through goal setting and reflection. On or off the field, the mental side of the game is so crucial to help you feel and perform at your best. Head over to www.theinnergamejournals.com and use code FOOTBALLFRIENDS to get 15% off all products. If you're a club, school or academy, you're in luck. Stefan also runs workshops and he's just released the app version, which will allow you to give direct feedback to players. Download the app for free today. Search The Inner Game on the App Store.
Well, that was another top chat. I think it was someone a little bit different. Obviously, he's flying at the moment, but I think hearing his struggles last year will be great for people to hear, and he's probably one of the favourites in the league, I would say. Nobody hates him around the leagues. He's a very, very colourful character, and it's great to see him doing well.
Yeah, no, it was honestly a really good chat. I just like how open and honest he was with everything, and it's not hard. It's not easy as a footballer to go through those low times. It's the worst thing in the world. We've both been there ourselves, but he's come out the other end, and I like how strong he was to actually stay over there at Perth and keep giving it another crack. He's playing left wing back and he's a striker. He would have been fucking hating that, to be honest, but he stuck to it and he's getting the rewards now. So good on him.
Yeah. If you get moved to fullback from an attacking play, you've got nothing about you, which obviously happened to you. And
you haven't
you've been there ever since. So anyway,
exactly.
Going into our round 15 preview, we're just going to quickly go through these. Friday night, we've got a double header. We've got Brisbane against Wellington, which there could be some news. Rumours of Rojas signing with the Raw. I don't know if that's true or not, but they are making a signing very soon. And by the time this podcast comes out, people will know who that is. If it is Rojas, that makes it a good game. I guess he's a Kiwi. So let's see what he can add to the Raw. Then we go into our man, Steph. Hopefully Tags is up front so the angry duo can be running rings around Melbourne City. Friday night in Perth, the shed should be packed for that one, and that will be another great game. Going into Saturday, you guys are the home team against Sydney, back in Tassie, that one, isn't it?
Yeah,
and
back in Hobart.
Hopefully you can get the 3 points, and Garuch can be smiling on the podcast once again. I actually haven't, normally we speak every day, and he hasn't been calling me for about a month, so. It's not great for our friendship. It's not great for the podcast. So let's go Western United. We need 3 points this week. And then Newcastle against Victory. Big game for Victory to see if they can keep their undefeated streak going. And Newcastle need to start picking up some points. Saturday night blockbuster. I think will be a top game is Adelaide against Central Coast. I think Central Coast, the way they play and the way Adelaide play, this could be a really, really good game. Very physical, very, very quick up and down game. So we'll see if the Reds can bounce back after last week and stop the Mariners. And then Sunday, we have, I guess, the West be the Southwest derby, I believe it is, and McCarthy be Western Sydney. Hopefully it's a massive crowd. I know people have been talking about the prices of tickets, but if you're in the area, get on down there, bring your cowbells, or go and sit with the RBB and sing with them, because it should be a great game to finish off the round. And Ben's going to talk to you now about our 1,000 follower giveaway.
Yeah, guys, we hit 1,000 followers on Instagram, so we're going to be putting a giveaway together for you guys who have been following us. But also, if you're still not following us, then I don't know what you're doing listening to this podcast and not following us. So make sure you give us a follow so you can be in the runnings for that giveaway. It's at Football Friends Pod on Insta and TikTok, at Ben and Steph Pod on X, and Football Friends with Ben and Steph on YouTube. But thank you guys for listening to another episode, and we'll see you next week.
Oh, friend.
Fuck you lot, where's the beer?